Hello, hello, hello. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Caroline Onyedema. I'm a business coach, a marketing and launch strategist, and a quiz funnel expert. And I am so excited because I know that you are here because you want the fastest and most effective way to fill your email list. So maybe you are a coach, course creator, or consultant, service-based provider, and you are about to go into launch mode. Maybe you're someone who's neglected list building because you felt it was too hard, but you know that fresh leads in your business really decides whether you're in the category of the haves or the have-nots. Maybe you've been using PDF lead magnets to try and attract people onto your list and it hasn't been working out. Maybe it was working out well before, but you've been seeing your conversion rates dwindling and you need to attract leads like yesterday. So that's why you're here. And the fastest way to build an email list, especially in 2020 and beyond, is to use lead generation quizzes. Now, why quizzes? Well, quizzes are shared about 1900 times on average. We know that I kind of see that a quiz is like sticky tape for our brains. We just have to take it, right? We're psychologically wired to taking quizzes. And that's why BuzzFeed style quizzes go viral and do very well. Everyone can attest to taking a quiz, right? Once or twice a year. Usually it's like we don't even know that we're doing, and then we find ourselves taking quizzes. They're fun to take, and surprisingly guys, they're easy to make when you know what you're doing. But I want to go one step further because I know you might have seen the whole quiz building frenzy going on recently, but what you don't want to build is just a lead generation quiz or a list building quiz or an email opt-in quiz. What I'm going to teach you today is how to build a client getting quiz. Because what entrepreneurs need is not just more leads, but they need more sales, they need more revenue, they need more clients, they need more bookings in their calendar. And so we don't want to build a quiz that gives us stale and stagnant subscribers that don't open your emails and who don't go on to buy. The idea is we build a quiz that takes a stranger to a subscriber and then that subscriber to become a sale as quickly as possible. And there's an art and science to how we do that. Now on the board, I have what I call my quiz message matrix. And this matrix is going to kind of encapsulate the core pieces of quiz building so that you'll have some clarity and a clear landscape of what goes into quiz building, the art and science of quiz getting, client getting quizzes. All right, so we're going to be going through this. I'm going to be summarizing quite a few things, and then I just want to quickly tell you that at the end of this video, there's going to be an opportunity for you to work with me further on my quiz building workshop. There'll be an application form below, or there'll be a way that you can apply below, and I just want to put that in there because some of you might want some help beyond this. But watching this training is going to give you a quick win. You're going to get a lot of clarity and you'll be able to take the first step in creating that client getting quiz that you need in your business. Well, first of all, I want to tell you that when you start a quiz, you must have the end in mind, right? The MO of the quiz, the purpose of the quiz is to ascend somebody, the quiz taker, to your offer. Now at that point, it might not be your paid offer, but it has to be the next step post-quiz, which is some kind of offer. Sometimes offers are not always paid, right? But it should take the quiz creator, so the quiz taker, one step, and hopefully one giant step closer to your paid offer or to your launch or to however you monetize people. So I want you to understand, how does a quiz of this caliber do that? Well, it does it by doing something that's really special that a lot of BuzzFeed type quizzes do not do. It does it with this concept of segmentation. So think of segmentation as, you know, a lot of people are like, what do you mean by segmentation? What do you mean by segmentation, right? Think of it about categorizing your email list, your subscribers, into meaningful groups based on the results they get from their quiz. So I always say, when people are like, well, you know, I really still don't get it, right? I know people talk about categories and segments and buckets, but they still don't get it. And I say, look, right, I'm going to keep it Sesame Street simple for you. Imagine your niche, your target market was a tub of Neapolitan ice cream, right? Different people in that tub, but they made up a tub of Neapolitan ice cream, which is strawberry, chocolate and vanilla, all bunched together in one tub. And you got that tub to subscribe to your email list. Well, segmentation would separate the vanilla, the chocolate and the strawberry into different groups and give them a label. And then you'd be able to market to those people who just love chocolate differently from those people that like strawberry to those people that like vanilla. And you would send the strawberry people strawberry offers. You would send the vanilla people vanilla emails, and you would send the chocolate people chocolate content, right? Because it would be highly relevant, and because you knew exactly what flavor floats their boat. That's the power of segmentation. But what most people do is they send a Neapolitan ice cream offer to everybody on that list, and that's when your open rates tank. That's what stops you from ascending people to become sales, and that's what keeps it as strictly a list building quiz, right? Because list building quizzes create stagnant and stale subscribers who see your content as irrelevant because you're indulging in this spray and pray marketing where you're treating your list as one big monolith. But the quizzes that we're going to create, these list building quizzes with a twist, with this client generating twist, do it very differently. And that's because of this whole concept of segmentation into the segmenting your subscribers into what I call containers, other people call buckets or categories, which are the slicing and dicing of your market into meaningful groups so that you can talk to them differently. So that's the little twist that we have on these list building quizzes. That's why they're so powerful. And so what I call my quiz message matrix, and I advise you now to grab a piece of paper and map this matrix out with me, because this is the secret sauce behind just having either a list building quiz or a client getting quiz. And we know that we want clients from our quiz. So I want you to map this out if you can. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and just 5 across and 5 down. And I'm going to give you our methodology that allows us to just create really high converting quizzes very simply and easily, because you have this framework. So let me break down our quiz message matrix. Across, we have our quiz conversion path framework. This is across here, and it starts here. Phase 1, they're conversion points in the quiz. They're very important that we see these different milestones as hurdles that we have to cross to get somebody to the ultimate conversion, and which is at the end. So the first milestone or the first hurdle is magnetize, and then second hurdle is recognize, the third hurdle analyze, and the fourth monetize. So across here we have the quiz conversion path with its 1, 2, 3, 4 hurdles, right? And if you can clear this, you're cooking on gas, right? And down we have the D4 quiz types. There's 4 types of quizzes: popular quizzes, main quizzes, and I've coined it under this framework called the D4 quiz type framework. It's really easy for you to understand, guys. I teach all of this in our 2-day list building with quizzes intensive, and this is why people do really well, because the clarity is there. Once you have the clarity, once you understand what you're doing, you'll be able to, right, produce these amazing quizzes that will fill your list with highly relevant leads every time. Well, what is the D4? The D4 are the different types of quizzes that you can create. So you know when people say, what's the best type of quiz to create to fill my email list? Choose one of the D4. Now, every single type of quiz in the D4 has the quiz conversion path, right? So you still go through the phases, And we're going to go through some of the elements here. This is kind of stuff that we go through in depth in our workshop, in our intensive. But guys, let me quickly just tell you that we do have an intensive, a 2-day list building with quiz intensive. And below, at one point in this video, you're going to see a way to sign up or apply for that, right? They get filled up very quickly, and this is kind of the stuff that we go over. But I want to tell you that you can get a lot of clarity from this workshop alone, from this training alone. It's going to give you some of the cheat codes to create that quiz. So therefore, the quiz message matrix is made up of, comprised across of our quiz conversion path, and down here are the default quiz types. Capiche? Everybody good? Got the pen and paper? All right, let's do this. It's really good when you can actually draw this out yourself. You're going to get that muscle memory that you need, and then you're going to understand this very well, right? Okay, so the first stage of the quiz conversion path is magnetize, right? So, but magnetize for who? What type of quiz? Well, let's choose the first quiz in the D4, which is the discovery quiz. Well, what is a discovery quiz? A discovery quiz helps us to understand, it's a journey in self. We understand, the quiz taker understands or discovers something about their innate characteristics, traits, tendencies, personality type that will help them come to an answer or result. So yeah, they're often called the personality type quiz, and they're one of the most popular types of quizzes to create. If you look at the BuzzFeed statistics, personality type quizzes win hands down when it comes to quiz creation and conversion rates. So that's what a discovery quiz is. And in the magnetize phase for a discovery quiz is concerned, well, they're all concerned with this. The magnetize phase in the quiz conversion path, the hurdle here is you want to get a conversion for somebody to actually start taking the quiz. And how do you do that? There's two areas that we need to be concerned about, right? The magnetize phase is how you attract someone. So you want the hook that makes them look, and that's in the title. So it must have a curiosity-driven, attractive and compelling title that makes your ideal client look, right? Stop their scroll back and say, hold on, what you talking about with this, right? And then you want the tagline. The tagline, I call it tactic or trick, that makes them click. Because as the title makes them do a double take, because it calls out to them. The title must support, the tagline must support the title and explain, or give a quick synopsis of why they should take the quiz, or why it's important to them, or what the quiz actually does to help them overcome a roadblock. So, often a good pattern for that is it presents a problem, presents a desire, and says, take this, 7-question quiz or 2-minute quiz to discover how to get to the other side, right? So the tagline presents the quiz or positions the quiz as the bridge. But it also tells you why you want to take it. Why should I take it? So these two in conjunction create this magnetic quiz that people just have to take. And every single quiz needs that curiosity and then needs the supporting context to get that conversion. And if you can surmount this hurdle here, you are 80% of the way, right? It's a big deal. Most people fall off here, and you want those conversions. And there's different conversion points through the quiz. See, here's the thing, even though they take the quiz here, they haven't opted in. Remember, we want that email address, but more than that email address, we want the right email address. So you also, as much as a magnet attracts, it also repels, right? So you want to repel people that you don't want on your list. And that's why the message here is really important. So the second step in this discovery type of quiz, and let me quickly give you some kind of titles that will come into play here. So a discovery type of quiz has, usually has something like style, personality type in the question. So what's your entrepreneurial type? What's your celebrity entrepreneurial type? What's your brand voice? What's your brand style? What's your website personality? What's your email copy personality? I know I'm using a lot of marketing terms there. Surprise, surprise, I'm a marketing coach, but it can work for any type of niche. You just apply the same formula, and those formulas we help you with in the 2-day list building with quizzes workshop. We give you, so it doesn't matter what niche you're in, we're going to take the same principle and help you churn out really compelling, magnetic titles and taglines that actually make sense, that get that click. So great. So now we've gone to this gone through this magnetized phase, and you understand that the fight here, right? We're looking at one conversion at a time, right? We're selling the click here for someone to start taking the quiz. We don't ask them for their email address there. That's one big thing, one big quiz killer that I see people doing, putting an email address opt-in before they actually get to take the quiz. That is a big conversion killer. Right there, people don't have any skin in the game. They will turn their back, right? They'll walk off, right? They'll exit quiz. It's not that serious to them. You really haven't captivated them enough to give their email address over. What's in it for them? You've got to allow them to travel down your path to earn the right of taking that email address. Great stuff. So now let's look at the second type of quiz in the D4. And this is a decision quiz. And what do I mean by the decision quiz? Well, these decision quizzes, they're really, really powerful because they help somebody to make a choice or make a decision. So usually you'll see people ask questions like, what's the best way? What's the fastest way? What's the most effective way? What's the best one for me, right? They're trying to figure out, they kind of want like a product recommendation. So you see these quizzes used a lot in e-commerce, or they're trying to figure out what's the best type of something for their unique personality. So they're not like type quizzes as in a journey of self. Their type is as in, what thing should I buy outside of themselves? What type is good for them? So what email marketing software is best for my business? What's the best way, or they're looking for the best way to grow my email list? What's the best way to launch my online course? Or what's the best way to clear up my acne? Or what's the best way to have long flowing hair? Whatever, right? They're looking for a path. They're wanting you to help them choose. They're looking for that traffic warden that can say that way, that way, that way. And so we call this a decision quiz. And I've given you the kind of titles. We're not going to go through the magnetized phase, but it's the same thing, a tagline and a title based on that formula. The formulas, again, we go through in the list building intensive with quizzes. But let's go to this recognize phase, because the recognize phase is a really important conversion point, and it has to do with the questions that you ask. And there's 7 crucial psychological questions that you ask in the recognize phase that allows the quiz taker to recognize where they are on their journey, or recognize traits about them, or their obstacles, their desires, their biggest challenges, those kind of things, so that they can self-elect or pick the fix themselves, right? Usually people know what their problem is, and they just need you to prompt them or position the problem so that they could recognize themselves in that scenario. So that's what we're doing here. And the big problem I see when people ask quiz questions, 1, they don't know what kind of quiz questions to ask. 2, they ask frivolous questions that have no psychology behind it. And your quiz taker is really smart. They kind of know. I remember there was somebody who was taking a big guru. She did a launch, and she took this quiz, right? And the quiz was amazing. Really great quiz. And she loved it. And then somebody else tried to do a similar quiz, the same kind of quiz, but the questions that they used were really frivolous. They must have gone to BuzzFeed and tried to copy those kind of questions. And it didn't have the same potency. I remember that we were looking at them, And the person said to me, I get this one. This one is amazing, right? I understand what, you know, you can kind of see why she's asking those questions, and that's how that's going to help me in my journey. But this one over here, what's it got to do with anything? And that's because they didn't understand that they weren't supposed to just ask funny questions, all right? Or, you know, that kind of stuff. There had to be psychological questions, but you still want that tinge of humor to get people moving through. So you don't want to be super serious, but you still have to have substance. And so this is important. So this area is to do with the questions. Another problem here that you see people making mistake is they ask too many questions, right? They treat this quiz like a clinical assessment, and it's not to be like that. I like an audit. People hate that word audit. They don't like the word assessment. This is supposed to be a very easy to consume process. Remember, your quiz is often the first, or should be the first kind of content that you give cold traffic. And so you haven't earned the right to take up a lot of their time. They really didn't know they were going to take your quiz. They probably stumbled across it. So they've got a couple of minutes to spare to, you know, to humor you, to see where this is going to go, right? So therefore, you want to make sure you've got power-packed questions. And not just the questions, the answers. The answers, they should be able to see themselves in the answers, hence the recognized face. Otherwise, what you're going to see, too many questions, people start to drop off. Too many, if your questions are too complicated, it takes too long for people to think, and then they drop off. If your answers are do not reflect the person, the scenarios, the problems, the desires, the pain points they're going through, they don't see themselves in the answers, so they say it's not relevant, and then you lose that lead before they can get to the next conversion point. So it's very important that you embrace the 7 psychological questions that you should ask. And I'm not going to have time to go through them all. We go through these kind of questions in the workshop. So it's really easy for you to pick them up. You just know exactly what kind of questions to ask. Remember, we are trying to get clients. We're not trying to just create these, you know, toys that people play with online. So you might have all these amazing ideas. You need to keep it in the structure of conversions. So what happens here is you have specific answers, but one of the questions that you must ask is a segmentation question. That's mandatory, right? That's a non-negotiable, because if you don't have this question, you're not going to get the answers that are going to allow you to really laser, hone in on your offer, your content, on your messaging. Basically, your audience is going to tell you exactly how to sell them. Now, how you ask that question is the secret sauce. You don't want to, it's got to be asked in a way that you get the right kind of answers. But that's the liquid gold question that you need to ask. Every quiz needs to ask it. You ask it in different ways. And so in the workshop, we go over the different ways that you ask it, and to make sure that you get very focused, very honed in, very specific answers that are going to allow you now to send content, to send messaging, to send emails, right? To ascend them to the next stage in your launch that is specific for their tendencies, their characteristics, or where they are in their journey. Really important. And for every niche, that question is different, right? But the purpose is still the same. Great. So now we've gone through the recognized stage. If you do this right, you're going to get people to the end of your question sequence. If you do it incorrectly, you're going to have people dropping off on question 2, or maybe getting to question 6. And with the software that we use, you're able to see where people drop off. So you're going to know what questions are not doing so well, and you can remove that question and you can slot something else in. And we show you how to go about the market research that stops you from making up answers and ensures that the answers are actually coming from the market, because you want to mirror the language of the market so that this is a very relevant quiz and people recognize themselves in the answers. Great. The third type of quiz is called a diagnostic quiz. And these are one of my favorite types of quizzes. I like them because they tell me what the big problem is, right? You know, a lot of times in business, we're looking for the secret sauce. We're looking for the missing piece. Well, this diagnostic quiz allows you to find out what that is. It allows you to find out the number one killer, the number one roadblock, the number one hurdle, or what your kryptonite is that is stopping you, that is obstructing your success. And a lot of people, it's under their nose, but they need the quiz to reveal it. So you'll see that, right? You know, what's your body confidence killer? Or what's your keto lifestyle kryptonite? You know, you'll see those kind of quizzes to do with your topic. But basically, it's really good when you've got people that are product aware. The market is, not product aware. They are problem aware. They know that something's going on that's stopping them from getting to a destination. They just can't put their finger exactly on what it is. And your job is to reveal exactly what that is. Why aren't they able to win that tennis match against their opponent? What are they doing wrong when they're cooking? Why does their cake never come out like their competitors? Why are their conversion rates flopping? What's that missing piece in their launch that's killing their launch? Whatever it is, right? People really want to know. And your job is to diagnose the problem, eliminate those things that are irrelevant, and zone in and hone in and find out what the problem is. So it's a diagnostic quiz. Absolutely love it. Again, we're going to move past this. Title and tagline is very important, and we give you amazing formulas for you to come up with a really simple but powerful title and tagline for this. You know, every single quiz type has a different type of formula for the title. But let's go to the analyze stage for your diagnostic. Well, now in the analyze phase, we're concerned with the results, right? So it's a big deal because between the recognize and the analyze phase, there's a big conversion milestone. And that's where you get the person's email. It's before the results that you ask for email capture. And if you've done a good job and you've applied pressure to this curiosity, people are just chomping at the bit to get to results, and they have to close that open loop. So it's really important that you understand the junction here and what you should be doing. So even the way that you ask email capture is important, and we talk about that on the intensive. Incentivize email capture. Otherwise, you'll have an email list full of things like don'tbeanosyparker@gmail.com, or I'm funnel hacking you at gmail.com, or give me my results already at gmail.com, all these fake email addresses. And you don't want to house your email list with junk. You actually want people that want to be on there, and you will get those emails. Actually, people will give you their best email address, not that junky folder where they send all the spammy marketers to. You'll get the right email address where they actually open your emails. If you do that right, and we show you what that formula is, that incentivization formula, to make sure that you're getting the best email address, and also to make sure that you're in compliance with, you know, different rules and regulations around how you take people's email address, and you're marketing, alerting them if they're going to be marketing emails they're going to get, and all that kind of stuff. So we talk about that there, and then, right, that moves them onto the analyze phase. And in the analyze phase, another big conversion point, because we've got over a hurdle. Now we've got an email address, and now you're going to give them the results. But this is where you're selling yourself as the expert, because you are analyzing the results and positioning yourself as an authority that is in a position to do so because you have expertise. They want to know why are you qualified to actually adjudicate at this point, and you're going to tell them why. Really important. So at this analyze phase, we're talking about the results or outcome. Results, outcome. And there's 4 C's here that have to be observed to make sure that you are actually establishing your authority, you're being authentic, you're being transparent, and you're impressing the person, that you're actually giving results that make sense. So we'll talk about that. But the big conversion killer that happens here, because there's another conversion here. At this stage, we're trying to sell the call to action. Someone to actually click on a call to action to go to the post-quiz ascension, whatever you want them to do after the quiz. So, or even though you've got their email opt-in, you want to make sure that they actually open your emails afterwards because they see you as worthy, right? So don't get to this stage and get lazy and like, oh, I've got an email opt-in, I'm going to do what I want. I'm going to say, no, I'm not telling you the results. That's one of the biggest conversion killers later on that I see. Remember, it's not just a list building quiz. We want a client generating quiz, and it depends on how you behave here. So one of the biggest things I see, biggest problems I see people making, or mistakes I see them making when they create this quiz, is they don't answer what the initial title of the quiz was. They don't answer the reason why somebody actually took the quiz. They go off on a tangent and they start talking about something else. Terrible, right? You get that clickbaity label. People are not happy that I spent 2 of my most precious minutes of the day taking this quiz. I had high expectations, only to have this anticlimax or to be let down here, and they're not even answering the question that I've been, I've been following, I've been trying to get an answer for. We don't want to have that kind of experience. We don't want to give that kind of experience, guys. Hopefully you don't want to give that kind of experience. So first of all, make sure that you always answer the question. But what happens is that it's hard to answer the question if there's like a misalignment, or if your results isn't tied to your next offer. And remember, I said your next offer might not be your paid offer, but every time you give somebody a new experience to embark on, that's an offer. And each micro offer leads the person one step closer to your macro offer, right? To your paid offer, whether it's a launch, whether it's to get on a sales call, whether it's a challenge, whether it's a sales page, whatever that is. So it's important. So what are these 4 C's? Well, first of all, okay, I want you to give them clout, right? So who are you? Well, clout or credibility, I call it. Who are you? Introduce yourself, right? And there's a certain order that we do it in, so I'm not going in any particular order, but who are you, right? Introduce yourself, welcome them, right? Thank them for taking the quiz. Can you be personable at this stage? There must be clarity. Tell them why you feel they have got the result that you're going to give them. These are the archetypes that you create, right? So at this point, you have your quiz archetypes, your quiz results. Or your quiz, if it's a personality type, it'll be your archetype. If it's a decision quiz, it'll be the path that you said they should take, the fastest path, the shortest path, the best type for them. If it's a diagnostic, you're going to tell them what actually that #1 roadblock is, or that #1 killer is, right? Make sure you're answering the question, but not only answer, tell them why. Because a lot of times, people don't understand why they got that answer. And the biggest credibility killer is for you not to have any rhyme or reason as to why they got that result. So someone said, this is total nonsense. I never act like that. Why would I get this result? It kills your credibility. So make sure that you are actually answering the question and you can back up why they got those results. So there must be clarity. The next thing that you want to do is, once you give them clarity, you kind of close that loop, right? So once you close the loop, that's what you do, you close the loop, but you open another. So you close the loop, but you open another that leads to a further conundrum. So you close one door, you open another. You solve one problem, and then it leads to another problem. Okay? Another micro problem. And you now give them the courage to take action and fix that problem with your call to action, right? So you've closed that loop, but you opened another one, and then the next step is you give them the courage to take action, which is clicking your call to action. And if you don't do that, you're not going to get that conversion, right? That final conversion that takes somebody off your quiz into the next stage, which is the monetized stage. Right, so I want to give you the last quiz type here, which is a dexterity quiz. And let's go all the way to this corner and let's go to the monetized stage. Obviously, all quizzes go through the quiz conversion path. But now we're at this stage. And what is a dexterity quiz? A dexterity quiz is a quiz that tests your proficiency. It sees where you are at a certain level or certain status or whatever, where you want to be, and what the gap is in the middle. Right? And then it tells you what that gap is and how to traverse that path, right? So you'll see those kind of quizzes where it's talking about your score or your aptitude or your status or your spectrum or your range. It talks about those kind of things in the title. So what's your message clarity score? Or what's your website engagement score? Or you can even talk about gap, right? What's your monthly income and budgeting gap, right? So those kind of things are, those kind of concepts lend very well to this type of dexterity quiz, because it's looking at your expertise, it's looking at your proficiency, right? And many times people, they've got to a certain level of attainment on their journey, but there's so much more to go. So if you can understand what the end goal is, where you are, you can easily help them close the gap, right? And so we talked about the kind of messaging that goes again, very popular kind of quiz, a little bit tricky. It's not as easy as the personality tip quizzes, but remember, you have to understand what the purpose of this quiz is. One size doesn't fit all. And if you don't choose the right quiz type, it's going to be really hard to present an amazing message because it doesn't really fit in your box. So try and make sure you understand this. And if somebody else, if you see somebody else doing a discovery quiz, for you it might not be. If you're trying to help them come to a decision about what they should buy, or if their problem isn't about what should I buy, but what's the gap, right? How much further do I need to go, right? So you have to understand your ideal client's problem and what they want, and then choose the appropriate type of quiz. You understand? Okay, because for the same topic, you could choose a quiz, but there's a different need from your ideal client. And we're at this monetized level. This is the offer that you give somebody after the quiz. Remember I said it doesn't always have to be a paid offer. So you have to understand, what's the next step in this quiz journey? What do you want them to do now? How are you ascending them? How are you bringing them closer and closer to your paid offer? So there's so many things you could do. You could invite them to a webinar, right? Because you're giving them the results. You could position a low ticket offer, a tripwire, as some people call it, or a self-liquidating offer, right? A low ticket offer. You can invite them to your Facebook group. Can't really fit anything in there. So invite them to your Facebook group. It could be inviting them to a 5-day challenge. You might be at the point where you just want them to read a blog post and lead them on. It might be that you invite them to a sales page. Whatever your launch strategy is, this is your monetization strategy. And you can decide how fast or how slow you want to ascend people to your next offer. But the most important thing is you now have a lead on your email list, and that lead should be segmented. And this is the stuff that happens under the hood that you don't see. Remember I gave you that analogy of the ice cream tub. Everybody has come onto your list, but don't leave them on your list as Neapolitan ice cream all mixed together in the same tub. You must segment them into containers or categories and put a label, strawberry, vanilla, or chocolate, or whatever it is that you slice and dice your niche into. Those meaningful labels that will allow you to send them content, to send them offers, to nurture them at a very granular level. And that's called personalization. And that's the secret to turning a list building or lead generation quiz into a client getting quiz. Most people practice spray and pray marketing and talk to their list as if they're a monolith. But if you can really speak to the heart of your ideal client, if you can talk to their granular needs, and how do you know? Because they told you in the quiz, you're going to be able to increase your open rates. You're going to become so much more relevant. You're going to establish authority so much quicker than other people. People are going to listen when you talk, because if you can articulate your ideal client's problems better than they can articulate it themselves, they will see you as the expert who is going to take them to their destination, and they will pay you money. You'll see your launch conversions go up, you'll see your group numbers go up, you'll see your webinar show up rates increase. And all of that down the line leads to increased revenue. And that's what we want as business owners. So I hope that you have been able to embrace this whole quiz metric, this quiz grid here that's going to give you the 2 formulas that coincide to make this quiz process so much easier. A lot of people complicate it all, and that's because it can be really complicated, all the moving parts that has to come together. And the beautiful thing about quizzes is once you're able to do one, you're able to do another and another and another really quickly, because you understand this process. And I really want you to understand this at a very granular level, so it just becomes second nature. I use quizzes all over to at least fill my email list with 10 to 20 people a week, especially when I'm actively list building, by just tweaking a question. So a lot of times I can be in the same business vertical, but speak to different niches by tweaking the name or tweaking the need a little bit. But the actual meat of the quiz stays the same. The hook changes. So I can go into different groups. I can put it on Pinterest differently. I can change it in different seasons on my website. And you know, I still have a standard signature quiz, but I can just change the face, almost like I'm changing a cell phone case, depending on my mood, for what that message is that's going to hook somebody and bring them in. All right. And that's if you strategically create your quiz. And again, we show you that trick in the 2-day list building with quiz intensive. Now, I hope this has been helpful for you. And, you know, take this information and see if you can run with it. But often people try and do their best with this, but they get stuck. And you see people take the list building process really seriously, and they don't get results, right? Because they get hung up, they get analysis paralysis and all of this stuff, or they need accountability, or sometimes this process just takes too long. So, you know, they're spending 2 or 3 weeks trying to come up with the perfect quiz title. But we know imperfect action creates clarity, and clarity creates focus. And so in our list building workshop with quizzes, we're going to have over 2 days. It's a virtual event. You're going to have your quiz up in 2 days, right? Done and dusted and published within 2 days, collecting leads and segmenting your audience so you can take them to the next stage of your launch. And it's perfect for people who need to list build like yesterday. And if that sounds like you, if you want the guidance, if you want the feedback, if you want the clarity to do this process a lot faster, if you want all the formulas and the templates, if you want to know things like what kind of questions should I be asking and how am I going to move through these conversion rates, and even if you have an existing quiz but it's not doing as amazing as you thought that it should or could or would, then you need to be on this intensive, and I would love to have you there. And I want you to click on the button below, and there is a process to apply or sign up below. They usually get sold out, guys. You know, quizzes are amazing. So people see the value of actually doing this in a short amount of time because they need to get onto other things, right? List building is not the only thing you have to worry about in your business. You actually have to worry about getting sales, right? And launching and doing all that kind of stuff. So I'd love to have you. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, please click below, right? Follow the process. And if I feel that you're a good fit, right, we'll have that conversation and we'll go from there. But that's all for now. I hope this has been valuable to you. And remember, if you can just remember this conversion path and choose one of the D4 and follow the different conversion path, clear the different conversion hurdles, you'll have a lead generating quiz that is really a client getting quiz that will fill your email list with the perfect people who go on to buy. I'm Caroline Onyedema. I'm a launch strategist, business coach, and marketing expert, and it has been amazing sharing this training with you. Bye-bye.